In today's video, we'll look into a scenario in which China declares war on Japan. So yeah, the scenario is China versus Japan. I had to make it sound cool when I said it, but yeah. With both navies being activated, and China for some reason decides to put their military down here. Who even knows what they're doing? Back here and out there. And to show you what happened before China and Japan ended up war and China declared war was when they got here and Japan shot down one of the Chinese ships, which kind of caused China to declare war on them, even though the ship was threatening their boats. And so, as you can see, the Japanese Navy is ready. But Japan calls their main allies first, or who would want to fight alongside them first. As you can see, they get South Korea, the Philippines. These are like the first countries. There's probably going to be more. Taiwan, because why wouldn't they? That just makes sense. India doesn't join yet, but is planning on joining. They're just not ready yet. Which Pakistan is, they know Pakistan is coming, so they're defending that border first, although they didn't publicly say. But they are sending aid around, with India deciding aiding is great. And then Pakistan is like, oh, we choose the opposite. And so, as you can tell, but North Korea is like, yeah, we're joining. And America's like, Canada, you're joining. You have no thing to say because I said so. With America forcing Canada to join their war, Canada is just like, okay. With Canadian fighters being sent by the Americans, yep, exactly. Because, and so, let's see what European nations did something. With France being like, yep. Britain being like, yep. And as you can tell, that's probably all that joined in Europe, and then Poland, just because. Then let's just say this is how far it went. Probably would expand more if more nations join. In every nation, where's America's Navy set up now, France's, Britain's, and you get the drift. They're all need to be joined in. Because they can't not. America is sending its military over here, so there's some, yeah. And Russia allows their waters to be used. With them quickly moving into South Korean waters and Taiwanese waters. Although, not fast, Taiwan defends pretty good. And although South Korea, on the other hand, doesn't have as much luck. As eventually, Japan, they make it to Japan's coast, and they have Korea fully surrounded. With Japan being able to hold it there and create it, stop the front. But Japan kind of loses its islands and a bit of southern Japan. But they manage to hold here, meaning they won't fall. But South Korea, on the other hand, with a North Korean invasion and a Chinese invasion, it kind of takes the country out. With Taiwan eventually falling, meaning their navy will collapse. With China claiming all of the South China Sea with her military in these waters, infringing on Vietnam's territorial water, Malaysia's, and Vietnam's. China probably shouldn't have done. Because now the war expanded in the favor of the blue team into the South China Sea. With every nation there now involved. Of course, some of the entrance ones aren't. But yeah. With China realizing this is a mistake, but realizing it's not that big of one. As India is finally able to join the war, before they do join it, although they reoccupied territories that they own but are taken from them. And now this is where they get themselves involved in the war, which quickly leads to Pakistan getting itself involved. But little did they know, India has been prepping this. As they know, war with China is going to be costly and take a long time. They know what they need to do, and they set up a defensive in China here. I'm just going to say where the defensive is set up here. And here, after like a while of fighting. With the invasion of southern Pakistan starting, central Pakistan, and India disputed in reclaiming Kashmir. And so on, as we can tell, this war favors India. And that being their front with China. With everybody else's front that's directly a land border being in trouble, like Vietnam. With China trying to get Russia to help them, but then they realize all of Europe will probably get involved if that happens. So then they don't. They ask Russia for aid, which Russia sends, but then they realize, what was the point of that? But yeah. With them unable to move any further south into Vietnam due to how hard they're struggling to keep it stable. So they asked Laos and Cambodia to join, which Vietnam isn't surprised joined. So Vietnam quickly asked Thailand to join. And as you can tell, China's allies are being decimated. Because it just so happened. With Cambodia losing most of its land, but a few northern territories in Thailand are lost. Especially along the Myanmar border, which India's started arming. Although they didn't realize the amount of Chinese troops that were going to go in and use it to invade this area. Which turns out to be like 60,000 troops. Where did they get all those people, you ask? They just did. And all of this land is taken. China sends a peace treaty, but it's not well accepted. With the Strait of Malacca being heavily defended by American troops. The American Navy, as the American troops have not entered yet, but their numbers are growing as they send their first lot of troops in the southern Philippines, northern Japan, and by the Strait of Malacca to hold. With China's Navy starting to fall back as the American Navy is working in these regions around where they put troops to defend their position. With China's Navy still fighting in that area, and a retaking of southern Japan. China is shocked. The American troops in Japan use this to their advantage to take many islands back. And yeah, China's military and economy gets completely cut off and so on. And the invasion of Pakistan continuing. After the capture of Islamabad, northern Pakistan falls, with the only city remaining that I know of, Karachi, and a lot of others I know because of the population, but yeah. And that's coast. As we know, coasts have more people, usually. Sometimes they don't. Yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. With it being debated who they're going to go after, and they find out that if they go after South China Sea and get access to Vietnam, they can send resources into them. Myanmar hasn't used their navy. India's navy is over here. But eventually they realize to do this. This is some Indian and American naval assets, so aid can't get in through there. And they demand Russia blocks Chinese ships, so Russia says no, so they do that. And China's wondering why they just did that, but yeah. with America offering them a piece of land from China. And they say, if you leave Ukraine, we'll give you a piece of land. Russia accepts that. And yeah. But they don't fully leave. They keep Crimea because they do. But Ukraine's also told to join the war because, yeah. And China didn't see this coming, but America somehow managed to do this in this video. Because they did. And China is confused because why wouldn't they? Your ally just declared war on you and left who they were attacking because somebody decided to let them. And so now you realize that, yeah, with their northern territories starting to fall, with Russia losing all of its sanctions as what it's doing, being seen as good for some reason, as they're trying to set up a new pro-Russian republic there, and somehow they got their troops over there. And then moving across Nepal, yeah, that's how far India's got in the full war into China, because it's all mountains. With America realizing it's going to be fierce battles from now on, a big maneuver is made as they manage to take all of this, and then they kick them out the rest of the way. With South Korea being re-liberated, and the Chinese Navy not accepting defeat, and so on. As we can tell, our two fronts here are falling because now China's fighting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 front war. I mean, it is a 5-front war, so you 1 front, 2 front, 3 front, 4 front, 5 front. It's going to turn into 6 front. But like going with the 6th front forming, but around now it becomes 5 fronts again as to connect. In this situation, East Turkestan rises up, though with Russian support, so Russia claims they should have control over it. With Tibet rising up, Mongolia joins at this point for Inner Mongolia. China starts falling apart. China's coast barely is harmed. China's becoming weaker and weaker as the days go on. With its people at this point just wanting the government to give up. With the capital finally taken, as we can tell from a naval landing, it's just north of the capital of Beijing, and Beijing then falls. Then they move into the Shandong Peninsula and so on. And so, yeah. With China becoming run by no one, it capitulates, and a peace treaty is signed. All of Pakistan in that area that China invaded in the 60s. And Taiwan takes this area along with that, but it's not shown that they did. Vietnam takes land, Thailand, Myanmar is there. That's what's left of China. It's a neutral place. And then Russia took these two as these become Russian allies. And Russia's proven strong. But that's all for today's video. Please like and subscribe so we can get 40 more subscribers and reach our goal. That's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out. Bye, guys.